dark, but there are numerous boats out there. There are dive teams out there. So again, we'll continue to work this situation, and I'll turn it back to the mayor. Thank you very much.
Thanks for that update. And you've heard that in the National Capital Region, the district, of course, is Washington, D.C. is at the center, but we are a close region. We have heard from the governors of Maryland and Virginia, the mayor of the city of Baltimore, all who have sent us personnel to help in the rescue operations. Last thing I'll note is just to our local viewership, and just please let our first responders do their work. Try to let our vehicles get to scenes and through scenes. We don't want anybody else to get hurt because of moving vehicles, okay? So we will be able to take a few questions. There's not a lot that we can say. We won't be able to say anything about an investigation. As you know, once fire and EMS completes the rescue operation, then the investigation goes over to the National Transportation Safety Board. And I'm sure the Safety Board, NTSB, will provide information about when they will be briefing about an investigation. So we'll take a few. Yes?
Can you confirm that both aircraft are in the water, and perhaps Chief Donnelly can explain what's involved in conducting an operation like this in these conditions?
Yes, both aircraft are in the water. The focus now is rescuing people, and that's what all of our personnel are focused on. And Chief, I think he's given a pretty good description, but if there's anything else you want to add, Chief?
I would just say that the boats are out doing searches. We have divers on both aircraft, and they're searching the aircraft at this point.
Right.
Mayor?
Yes.
Have any survivors been?
All we can confirm tonight is the number of people on each aircraft, 64 people on the American Airlines plane and 3 people on the military helicopter. And we can't provide any more information about recovery efforts.
The 2 people have talked about lost loved ones. So how do you know that there are 3 people who have lost loved ones?
I didn't say I didn't know people had lost loved ones. I said we can't talk about any of the recovery efforts in specific tonight. Yes.
Secretary Duffy,
So I'll call on who's next. Yes?
Thank you, Mayor Bowser. Will this affect operations at Dulles and BWI? Will the Potomac River traffic be closed to boats?
Yes. And so Jack has talked about, Jack, can you talk about Dulles? I'm not sure we can talk about BWI, but we can talk about Dulles. Right.
There is no impact at BWI or at Dulles. As I said earlier, our airport here, Ronald Reagan National Airport, will be closed until 11 o'clock. Obviously, that will be fluid. We'll learn more, but we wanted to advise passengers who might be coming to the airport in the morning that we will be closed until at least 11 o'clock.
A question for Secretary Duffy. A question for Secretary Duffy.
Yeah, 1 second. You're next.
Hi, Mayor. Thank you so much. So, just other than the current situations, like we know the water is extremely cold and it's very dark outside. Although Senator is saying that there are numerous boats in the water, but what's the the biggest challenges for the rescue team? What best scenario we can expect in the coming few hours till morning?
So the challenges are access. The water that we're operating in is about 8 feet deep. There is wind, there is pieces of ice out there, so it's just dangerous and hard to work in, and because there's not a lot of lights, you're out there searching. Every question about the river, we'll make that decision later. The Coast Guard's on scene, and I would expect that it's not a high use time in the river, and we should not expect to have commercial red.
Have you been in touch with the air traffic controllers who were in the tower at the time? This is your first several hours in this position. What are your thoughts? What are you feeling right now?
My focus is on a little over a day, and the tragedy that we're going to deal with this recovery, I think is touching everyone's hearts, whether it's here in the greater DC area or in Kansas. And again, I think everyone here is thinking and praying for those who potentially have lost a loved one. And thank you.
Okay, your question?
Can any of you give us any sense about how an accident like this could have happened to the airport right in the heart of DC. There have been reports that the DCA tower contacted the helicopter moments before the crash to ask if they had sight of the aircraft, and apparently the helicopter reported that it did have sight of an aircraft. Is it possible that it had the wrong aircraft in sight? Do you have any sense of what went wrong in those final moments?
I know that the National Transportation Safety Board in its investigation will be able to search on all of those questions. We wouldn't be able to talk about that tonight. Yes?
Two parts for Secretary Duffy. The first being you were talking about when you were in the Situation Room with the President and Pete Hegseth both being there. Can you tell us more about the President's initial reaction to this, as well as Pete Hegseth, given this was a military helicopter?
So I was not in the Situation Room. I did have a conversation with the Situation Room where the President was located, as well as with Secretary Hegseth. We're exchanging information. I would just note that not just the local team, but the federal team has performed very well in this crisis. I know the President is incredibly concerned about what's happened here today. I'm sure we'll continue to hear more from him, and I'll continue to consult with him and Secretary Hegseth.
When it comes to the resources that you would be able to provide on the federal level, do you feel like you're getting what you need?
Absolutely. The President has committed to this team and to the NTSB through the DOT that we will provide all resources necessary as we go through this recovery, but also the support from FAA and DOT as the NTSB investigates.
Mr. Secretary, do we know the condition of these aircraft? Are they whole? Are they split? Are they pieces?
Again, I don't think we can comment on that. Our focus is on getting the passengers and crew out of the water.
And just one more clarification, because earlier we got guidance that DCA was going to be shut down at least until Friday at 5 a.m. I just heard
11
now
a.m.
it's 11 a.m. tomorrow? Tomorrow, okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, we can take a few more questions. A question here, and here. Yep.
Mayor Bowser, can you just confirm, has anybody been transported to the hospital?
Again, I can't say anything about the rescue operation right now. Who was next?
More about the unified command who leads this phase of the rescue and recovery. At what point do you then change phases? And can you describe to us the scene as best you can when first responders first arrived?
So I happened to be listening to the radio this evening when the call came out. I listened to the responders come in, and the initial response, they were very professional trying to locate this. This is, if you can imagine, the river is a large black spot at night with no lights on it except for a few buoy lights. So they were out there looking. The boats pretty quickly